Hi, welcome to another edition of Onside SA. As the league comes to an end, we know the champions are. Relegation's getting tight, and before we start, we always get on to our last one standing. And Budge, it's come down to 9 of 12.
Yep, three of them, two were on Crystal Palace. Gary Faree, Richard Pillay, and Dean Moody lost a choice last night. He was on Chelsea. Down to 9.
None on tonight's games?
No, Thursday.
So this week 8 is this weekend?
It's week 9 this weekend.
Okay, week 9. I'm just, the guys already picked.
Well, there's one person that came through this morning, so he had Man United still to choose, so he's already selected Man United.
Okay, all right. So it's getting tough, and you're telling me a few guys have still got Man United. 3 guys.
Well, 3 of them, yeah.
Well, against Bournemouth?
Well, you never know, Paul. Remember, I think it was the second competition we had. A guy had Man United against West Brom. We were 1-14 and got beat 1-0 when Mourinho was in charge. So there's no certainties, but United at the moment do look good, yeah.
All right. And have we managed to get hold of Stevie B? Is he in the studio or is he COVID?
Steve, you there?
I'm here. Good morning. No, I'm not coming. Thank you.
Okay, good man. You're not isolated. Steve, thanks for joining us. Just touch on Fulham quickly. I watched them play Leeds. Very stuttery at the back.
Yeah, that's been our problem. I don't think that we've strengthened our defence suitably. Obviously, Michael Hector's come in. He didn't have his best game. We brought in January, brought in Congolo from Huddersfield, and he got himself injured pretty much straight away. Otherwise, he might have been playing left side. But look, we had a lot of the game, particularly in the first half. A lot of chances, didn't convert any of them, and got caught on the break. And once it was 2-0, that was all over. So it was a disappointing result. But they bounced back, got a result. Wasn't a great performance, but 2 good goals and got a result at QPR on Tuesday.
Okay, Steve, we'll get on to the Premiership results. Myself, you and Budge will run through them, and there's some woeful performances out there, and some teams haven't come back from the break well. But let's talk about Tuesday night. Man United, I thought, were glorious.
Yeah, I mean, they really are playing well, and I think he's got the sort of team that I guess he wants that for the run-in. I mean, obviously you've got Pogba and Fernandes now playing together. Fernandes has made a huge difference. I mean, he's he covers almost sort of every blade of grass. Scored a cracking third goal, and they just look dangerous going forward. And Brighton had started quite well, but they were a little bit of pressure they put on United for a short while. But otherwise, United were worthy winners. And I think if he keeps that team fit for the rest of the season, they're going to be challenging.
Yeah, Budge, your boys,
yeah,
you're impressed with them?
But I thought Bradford had got their eyes on this. Sorry, Bradford, yeah. Brighton had got their eyes on the Norwich game. They rested 3 or 4 players. They looked like they were resting. But United did play well. A little bit lucky with a couple of goals, but
they look forward. Very good going forward.
I think Greenwood's definitely helped them up front. We've had Lingard and a lot of guys that can't keep the ball. But the team looks balanced. It looks okay.
Yeah, doing well.
Yeah, no, I think so. And I think that, Mason Greenwood, I think, is a real talent. I think he's one for the future, without doubt.
Now, West Ham got a great result at home to Chelsea last night, Steve.
Yeah, it was a good game. I mean, I thought, obviously, once Chelsea sort of scored, you thought that was it, but they got back into the game, West Ham, after having won this out. And actually, they played well. They dug in and they broke well on the break. I thought Michael Antonio played really well. He holds the ball well, and he sort of made that last goal. But Chelsea's defence were really poor. I think Frank Lampard will be really upset with them because they gifted a couple of goals.
Yeah.
And actually,
set pieces didn't look well.
A huge result at the bottom of the table.
Yeah, massive. Steve, what I didn't like is the modern-day fullback spends more time attacking than defending. Yeah. And if you hit the channels outside of the centre halves, they were there for the taking. And that Yarmolenko goal was an absolute disgrace for me. He's left-footed. You know where he's going.
They called out Alonso, and they showed it sort of afterwards. And basically, he was level with Yarmolenko, and Yarmolenko just sped upfield, and Alonso just let him go. I mean, that's not acceptable, you can see why. His days are probably numbered at Chelsea, I would think.
Yeah, Lampard's trying to sign attacking players. I think he should rather start with the 2 centre halves and work forward.
Yeah. Then Steve, a team that hasn't come back from the break is Leicester. It hasn't come back well.
No, I mean, I only saw some highlights. I didn't see the Everton-Leicester game. But I understand they put a lot of pressure on Leicester. But, Vardy's not firing, hasn't scored in a few games.
1 in 14.
Yeah, so, it makes a difference. And Madison sort of had a little bit of injury. So, they haven't got a bad run in, but I think that for them, top four is probably looking a little trickier than it was, few months ago.
Yeah, I think teams have worked them out. You don't push out on Vardy, and Madison having that injury. And I just watched the second half. Unfortunately, I was pressed in the first game, but they didn't deserve to get beat.
I watched all the game,
But, I just you look at them and they've run out of ideas.
The penalty they gave away, it wasn't did he having his hands up in the air. But what was interesting, Stephen, I'd like your opinion, and Budgie's. I don't know, if you didn't watch the whole game, you might not have heard it, but the three panelists, Michael Owen, was with
Sherwood and
Savage, yeah. And the question that was put to them was, who would you pick now to go to a massive club or be your next English player that you really want to buy? Would it be our boy from Aston Villa, Grealish, or would it be last night's boy who came on, Madison? And what's your answer? Who would you say is the better player at this stage?
A little while ago, I think everyone was saying Madison's the man, but reading between the lines, whether it's true or not, United and a couple of the two big teams are very keen on Jack Grealish at the moment. Because he's still playing well in a very poor, struggling sort of Villa side, whereas but I think they're both good. But
so if you had to pick one, would you go with Grealish?
I'd go with Grealish. I think he's just got something, more of a sort of the Gascoigne sort of about him, really. He's got a bit of an edge, and he can make things happen.
Budge?
Yeah, I wouldn't pick either. If I'm going to spend 50, 60 million, which is a reported figure, I'd go and sign the guy from Wolves, Traore. But I've got two younger English players.
The reason I'm asking the question is because I'll get into my next question. Who'd you pick of the two?
I prefer Grealish to Madison.
Me too, I prefer Grealish. All three of the panellists went Grealish.
Yeah.
And in the England squad, no Grealish.
They go
Madison.
Madison.
They went Madison, and they're all surprised that Grealish wasn't in the English squad and Madison was. It's just a bit of trivia.
Again, maybe if Villa go down, or whether they do or they don't, and Grealish was to go to United or City or whoever, then it may well be that if he starts to play well there, it'd be very hard for Southgate to leave him out of an England squad.
Yeah, he's a good player. He's a very good player. As you say, playing with a bad team. Norwich history.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's no question. They having said that, I watched the game against Arsenal for about 20 minutes of the second half. They played very well, had a couple of good chances, put some pressure on Arsenal, but so soft at the back. I mean, gave away a couple of really shocking goals. And in the end, well beaten. You just, they've come back from the break. They haven't got a point. Their game, their last chance, and I don't think they've got a chance, but their last chance is against Brighton. And if they don't win that, then they're all but down. I mean, Daniel Farke said before the restart they need 5 wins. Well, they've lost 3, so they actually need 5 wins from 6 games, and that isn't going to happen.
Ain't going to happen.
They're gone.
And Bournemouth are really, really blotting their copybook.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, I think Eddie Howe is probably shrugging his shoulders, wondering what he can do, because last night was a game that they might have targeted to say, well, we get something at home to Newcastle, and they were completely outplayed. They again saw highlights, read the reports. They had quite a lot of the ball. They had quite a few chances, but they only hit the target once, and that was a consolation goal. And I think, obviously they've got United up next. You can't see them getting anything there. Whether they just go and try and park the bus and try and get a 0-0 out of it, but once they go behind, I think they're history. So, no, they're really struggling, and at the moment you can see why they're one off the bottom.
Yeah, a lot of those teams at the bottom, the moment they go 1-0 down, the heads seem to drop. And I saw Watford do that the other day. I thought they had fight to them, they never. Bournemouth definitely haven't got fight in them, and I got my doubts about Aston Villa as well.
Well, when you look at since the restart, obviously West Ham won last night, but none of the bottom 4 have won a game yet. They've all played. Villa have played 4 games, the others have played 3 games.
Yeah.
So they really are struggling, and at the moment you could perm any 2 of 3 of the teams, sort of Villa, Watford, and Bournemouth, because they're all playing as fairly poor as each other. But one of them has a bit of a run. They'll get out of it. But at the moment, you can't see where their next wins are coming from.
That's true. Steve, on the top 4 betting, I've got the odds here. Who would be your top four? Obviously, Liverpool and Man City is through.
Yeah.
You see Chelsea, 5 to 10,
I would have
top four.
It's interesting because last night, if they'd have won that, you'd have thought definitely leapfrog Leicester. At the moment, it's you can put any 2 from 4. I mean, I think that with their run in, and if they play as they have been, I think United will catch Leicester.
Okay.
It's interesting. The very last game of the season that is Chelsea, Wolves, and Leicester, Man United.
Yeah.
And it could go down to those. It's hard to bet against Wolves because they just
keep soldiering on. Yeah.
They're hard. They're very hard to beat. But I might stick my neck out and say Chelsea and United.
Yeah, they look good too.
They do look the right too. Okay, let's touch the relegations.
Yeah, the relegation, Steve. How do you see that going? Looks like there's 4 teams.
As things stand, obviously Norwich are down.
Yeah.
I think Bournemouth, as we said before, lost a lot of confidence. If they get a heavy beating at United, I think that's going to be hard for them. And after that, then I think West Ham have still got to play Watford, Norwich, and Villa. I think West Ham will be safe. They showed a lot of fight yesterday.
Yeah.
I think it's between Watford and Villa. I just think Nigel Pearson has been in this position before. He's just got to get his team to believe in themselves and play as they did before the restart. And again, Watford have got matches that they could. Watford have got Norwich soon.
Yes.
I think it could be the bottom 3 as it stands, but it's going to be very close.
Very close, yeah. Just touching on tonight's matches, Sheffield United, who haven't come back well, play Tottenham, who need to win this to go past Arsenal. And then, of course, there's Man City, Liverpool.
Yeah.
What type of team will Liverpool send up, Butch?
Their best.
Their best,
I think so. No, I think this is a game that both teams are going to want to win because there's a point to prove.
Yeah.
Liverpool won the league, but they want to show that they are by far the best team. They don't want to go to City and get walloped. Even though they've won the league, I think they're going to. They can play without pressure.
Yeah.
Whereas City, I think although they've got the cup competition still, they're not going to want to be beaten on their home patch. So I think this could be. I hope it's a real classic, and there are goals. I sort of predicted it could be sort of 4 or 5 goals in this.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a classic. As you say, to be the man, you've got to beat the man. And Klopp, I think, will rest
to be
half
the man,
his
you've got
team.
to beat the man, eh?
Yeah, I wonder how he's going to go on against Aston Villa. I think it'll be Humdinger. Can Spurs get a result away from home, Steve?
I think they can. I think
So
at the
do I.
moment Sheffield United are really struggling.
They're all over the place.
9 goals. They pinched a goal against Arsenal in the cup, but nothing in their 3 league games. And I just think that I think it's caught up with them, and thankfully for them, they've got more than enough points, to be totally safe. I think Europe's beyond them, and I think Tottenham, if Tottenham have any aspirations to get a Europa place, I think they've got to go and win that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Talking to Tottenham, Steve, Tottenham Tottenham host Everton on Monday. How do you see that going?
Yeah, that's going to be a good game. I think, again, Everton under Ancelotti have made themselves hard to beat. And
they're very good at home. They're very good at home, Everton. Everton
So you fancy Tottenham, huh?
Tottenham
Keep Paul happy.
certainties. Okay, keep me happy, Steve.
I think so, but again, it's you're not quite sure. I mean, I think Mourinho's just got to be a little bit more adventurous. I mean, but Everton are good, on the break, and they're pretty solid. And he's got some of the players back that he wants, Ancelotti. So I think they'll have a strong finish. And I think they'll be pushing for Europa place as well.
Steve, Leicester, we mentioned earlier, struggling. How do you see them going against Crystal Palace?
Also struggling a bit.
Lost the last
Well, I
2,
think, whereas Palace, you're not quite sure we're going to get with Palace. I mean, they had a very good sort of win first up, but I think if he keeps the heart quiet, you can do it. So, and they struggle to score goals. I think this would be a very low-scoring game. I don't think there'd be much in it. Roy was disappointed with the result the other night. I think that'll be a close game. Leicester have to win it, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a draw.
Okay, now the game of the weekend for me is Wolves against Arsenal.
Yeah.
How do you see that?
Great game.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been sort of pleasantly surprised with the way Arsenal have bounced back because they were obviously poor at City and poor against Brighton for most of the game. But I think they sort of dug in and shown that they mean business. But again, the defence worries me still. I mean, Norwich should have scored against them last night. But going forward, they've got the players to unlock any defence. I think that's going to be a very, very close game. I wouldn't be at all surprised if Arsenal hold them, but I think it's going to be low scoring.
Okay, we mentioned Norwich last night. I know they hit the post early on. How do you see
Great
them
shot.
going against Brighton?
Yeah, well, I think Graham Potter's got to look at this because Brighton are not really out of it.
Yeah.
You know, obviously, if any of the one or two of the teams sort of get a couple of results, because they've got, after this game, Brighton, they're home to Liverpool and home to Man City.
Yeah.
So, you know, on paper, you'd think they wouldn't get anything from those two games. So I think this is the game that Graham Potter's going to target, to think, look, we can win this, puts us on 36. 36 was enough to stay up last year, and it may well be the same this year. So I think they'll go there and go all out to win that game. I just think it's beyond Norwich now to stay up.
Yeah, and two teams had great results last night. Newcastle hosting West Ham.
Yeah, I mean, I was very surprised about that. I thought Bournemouth might get a point out of that.
Yeah.
I think maybe Newcastle has come back in the league, 3-0 against Sheffield, and probably dropped points against Villa. But I think it's a bit close. I think West Ham will go there buoyed with a bit of confidence.
Yes.
I think that will be a very close game as well.
All right, Steve, on to the Championship, which we obviously follow. What's happening with Wigan? Administration's reported?
Yeah, no, well, it's official. So, I mean, they've got relatively new owners, they're a Hong Kong consortium. It does make you wonder whether they knew that the finances were bad and they're using the current pandemic as an excuse to put them into administration. They're taking a bit of a gamble because at the moment they are 6 points clear, 8 points clear, but if they lose 12 points, which is the norm for administration, they would be 4 points adrift. Now, they're one of the most informed teams, unbeaten in 9. The thing is, if they were to stay up by more than 12 points, then they would be safe. If they are sort of less than 12 points clear and they get the 12 points deduction, they'll go down. If they ended up in the bottom 3 before the deduction, then they would be relegated and the 12 points would be carried forward to next season.
Oh,
so they can't afford to actually, which I don't think they will. They're on 50 points at the moment and playing quite well. So the danger is if they were to be relegated in the bottom 3, then they'd start next season with -12. There is a slight hope for them in that there's a clause that says if the administration was caused by unforeseeable and unavoidable circumstances, and they're saying the pandemic could be one, maybe they can appeal. But I'm not sure they can use that as an excuse because the consortium only took over a short while ago. And I think they wonder whether they've used this as an opportunity to
wipe out the debts and stay in the league.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're taking a bit of a gamble, but it will be hard on them if they finish, say, 11 points clear and get a 12-point deduction and get relegated because they've put in some good performances recently.
They're going to have to be good this weekend. They play Brentford.
Yeah.
Yes, no, very much so. In fact, their last game is home to Fulham. So. I mean, I think it's going to be tough for them because obviously if you said they automatically do 12 points and they're 4 points adrift with only 6 games to go, it's going to be quite tough for them. But it does, there is a worry that other teams in the summer could go to the wall. And I think it would be a dangerous precedent not to deduct 12 points because otherwise other teams could say, well, we've got nothing to lose. We could go to administration, wipe out some debt, start again and be in the same position.
Yeah. How do you see them going at Brentford? Can they upset them?
They're a funny team, Wigan. I think last year, if you recall, they were the team that
Leeds,
brought about Leeds' demise at the end from automatic promotion. It depends how the club, whether the club or the players are reeling after the announcement yesterday. Whether they just say, look, we can't alter that. You'd expect Brentford to win, but Wigan unbeaten in 9. I think they've got a lot to play for. So for us. And those around us at the top, obviously we'd be very happy if we can get a result, but I think it's unlikely.
Will you beat Birmingham? Steve,
you beat Birmingham?
Will you beat Birmingham?
I think we have to. We don't have a very good home record against them. We beat them away. I mean, Birmingham were well beaten last night by all accounts, and actually we were probably fortunate to get points against Hull, having been training to them.
Yeah.
So it's a game that we have to win, there's no question. We have a tough run in, and that's on paper, that's probably one of the most winnable of the last 6 games we've got.
Okay, and Blackburn, Leeds United? Leeds too good?
Yeah, Blackburn have fallen away. I mean, they were pushing before. I think the playoffs are probably beyond them, but this is the game. If they don't get something from, they probably are. Leeds now know that they've got this gap, having won last week, and I think that Leeds will to me, I think we'll just carry on winning, and if they do, I think they're going to be very hard to catch.
All right. Last but not least, Steve, the Brownclough derby against Forest.
Yeah, that's going to be. It is a big derby, and literally, there's no love lost between them, and especially now that they're playing. We've got sort of Forest in fourth and Derby pushing,
Seventh,
into those playoff places. I think there'll be a close game. I've got a feeling Derby might just edge it. I just think at home with the way Wayne Rooney's got that team playing well, because they were really adrift before he went there. Yeah. Forest, high position, but I've just not been overly impressed with them. Yeah. They seem to be riding their luck a bit, but a draw would suit us. But I think if I was to go for one, I'd go for Derby.
Stevie, your best bet, is that correct? I know Budge Arsh is definitely Burnley.
So you're definitely going best bet, yeah?
Burnley. I think that, obviously they were hammered at City, but they've come back with a couple of good wins. Yeah. And, you think with the problems they've got at that club and the lack of funding and, players not wanting to play there, Sean Dyche has done a great job. And the fact that they're sitting in ninth with an opportunity themselves of Europa place, I think it's a testament to his ability to motivate the team. And I think they could get 3 points.
Huddersfield, your value bet?
Yeah, I just think that this is a huge game for them. They had a big win during the week. Teams at the bottom are picking up points. They were in trouble. They need to win that. And Preston, sadly for Budge, just seemed to have sort of restarted with little confidence. And I just can't see them making the playoffs as things stand.
Yeah. Stevie, thanks very, very much for your input again, and all the best over the weekend for your team, my team, Budgie's two teams.
There's a lot of games coming thick and fast.
Yeah, that's true.
Look forward to it.
Thanks very much, Steve. All the best. Speak soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye. There we go. That's our international pundit, Steve Braham. Well done to Stevie B. Let's go straight on to Premier League fixtures, Budge, and let's look at the boards and get your opinions. Okay, let's see the first one that's going to come. We've got a sheet coming. I've got you down for Norwich Brighton. Is that
Norwich
accurate?
Brighton's the first game, Paul. I'm disappointed with Norwich, obviously. Now, everyone's jumping about the United performance, but Brighton rested 3 or 4 players. When they brought them on the second half, they had 3 or 4 good chances. And De Gea made 2 good saves. I think Brighton are certainties here.
Okay, I'm going to put a ring around yours.
I fancy Brighton big time.
Leicester Palace?
Paul, I watched the second half of Leicester because I was watching Preston.
Yeah, I watched the whole game.
They were all over Everton.
They were a better second half.
Yes,
yeah,
first
half.
But there's something amiss, Paul. People aren't pushing out on Vardy. Yeah. The creativity is missing. But Maddison coming back, obviously he was carrying an injury. He should help.
Palace,
yeah, it should be Leicester, Paul. I watched Palace on Monday. I fancied him. The goalkeeper threw the free kick in.
Jeez, aren't the goalies going through a spate? Even the English goalkeeper for Everton, his mistake.
Pickford. He's been terrible for a while, though, Paul.
But Man United, my book, certainty.
It should be, Paul.
Certainty. What price they 1 to 4? There were guys.
Any price is a good price. The way they're going and the way Bournemouth are going too. They can't get a point.
They can't get a
away victory.
Wolves Arsenal. What's your take?
I think it's a great game. I like Wolves, Paul. I've been really impressed with them. Arsenal have come right, but they concede goals. This should be a humdinger.
Yeah, they were very lucky. They got 4 goals, but 2 were given to them.
Yeah.
Okay, Chelsea will now be.
Well, they're going to have to respond, Paul. I watched Watford last week. I thought Watford Southampton. I thought Southampton would be under pressure. Never looked like losing.
Yeah. So
Watford
you're on Chelsea.
The 2 centre halves are poor, Paul.
Yeah.
Chelsea should win this easily.
Okay, and now we go Sunday. Yep. Burnley, Sheffield United.
Yeah, Paul. Stevie's best bet. Yeah, they were impressive, Paul. When you have a look when you have a look at what they got, you realise how good a job Sean Dyche has done. They've only lost 1 in 10. It's 19 to 10's a fair price, Paul, but I wouldn't be taking it. I think the draws are playing.
Draw for Budgie. Okay. Yeah. Newcastle will be smart.
I'm glad for Steve Bruce, Paul. I like him. All the talk about Pochettino. That's St. Maxim up front. He's a player.
Whoa, how do you get that second goal for them?
Outstanding. So they'll be confident. They just seem to be at home. They tend to park the bus and then come strong in the second half.
West Ham,
I think played well last night.
Going to fight
of the 2 teams, I like West Ham.
West Ham, Budge, okay. West Ham it is. Now Liverpool, Villa.
Paul, I can't believe the betting. Liverpool were 1 to 6, but because they're playing
1 to
tonight,
3, I got here.
I know, but how can they? They've won 23 in a row. They're playing a Villa team that are garbage. How can they be 1 to 3 unless the bookies know he's going to play the squad players, which is more than likely what's going to happen. I wouldn't have a bet on that game until I see the team sheets.
Yeah, correct.
But they're 1 to 3. But you just don't know, Paul. And remember, he played all the youngsters against Aston Villa in the League Cup and got beat 5-0.
That's right. How about taking 1-3 Man City? They're away from home.
Against Southampton. You know, Southampton are a funny team, but they've lost 4 of the last 5 at home.
Wow.
Yeah, Man City lost 3 of their last 4 away. But he's going to rotate the squad, Paul. I think the goals market's the right one, but I wouldn't take 1-3 Liverpool or Man City, but they should both win.
Okay, Tottenham Hotspur against Everton.
Paul, you know, Everton don't travel. You know, the last
shocking. They're great
they went to Chelsea, got destroyed. Arsenal beat them there, but yeah, they'll have a go. You know, I like Spurs, Paul. 11-10.
That's for me.
That's your team.
No,
so I've got to keep you happy.
I've got to get 2 results this week.
Yeah.
Well, that's on Monday night. Eh?
Monday night,
so guys, Monday night. Okay, let's have a look at the championship. This is hotting up now. Yeah. Okay, Charlton Millwall.
Paul, London Derby. I watched Millwall play Swansea during the week. You know, they have a full go. Nothing fancy about them. Charlton haven't conceded a goal since they've come back, since those 3 players boycotted them. So they've obviously shown a bit of fight. I think a draw written all over there, Paul. 21-10.
The Brian Clough Derby looks a great game.
Paul, I watched Derby last night beat Preston. They were never in any doubt, but they're playing nice football. They just got too many youngsters. I took 9-1 Derby to get into the playoffs, and 55 to come up. This big game for them, Paul. Yeah. They're a point behind Cardiff. I've watched Forest. Yeah, they beat Huddersfield 3-1. But it wasn't a 3-1 game. It was 2-0. They got given a second goal after half-time. Huddersfield gave them a pounding, but they scored from a set piece. So a draw again.
Draw again,
Much as my heart's with Derby, I can see a draw.
Leeds, Blackburn are faltering.
Well, Blackburn are struggling, but they've only lost one of the last 14 at home. That was to Fulham. Yeah. But, you know, when you're out of form, Paul, it's hard to buy a result. And I think a draw and Leeds for me there, Paul. I wouldn't bank of them, but I don't see them losing.
Brentford, Wigan?
I fancy Brentford, Paul. I watched them beat West Brom fair and square. If West Brom hadn't won last night, they could be automatic contenders. They're only a few points behind. They should beat Wigan, who have won 6, drawn one of the last, and they've kept 7 clean sheets in a row, Wigan. But obviously with a 12, 15-point deduction, Paul, I wouldn't like to be going into training today.
Bristol, Cardiff?
Paul, you know, Bristol City, I mean, Cardiff beat Preston. Bristol City got beat last night they got beat 1-0 by Notts Forest. I think it's 5 and 2 draws, 5 wins in the last 7. It should be Cardiff, Paul, but the pressure's on them now to get in. I would go Cardiff in the draw.
Okay. Fulham, Birmingham.
Should be Fulham all day.
Should be
Paul.
Fulham,
8-10 should be. But that Birmingham team, Paul, away from home, I don't think they've lost in 8. They haven't won in 8 games, but they haven't lost away from home in 8. Should be plenty of goals. We've got to fancy Fulham.
Your Preston North End?
Watched them last night, Paul, be terrible. Don't think we can buy a result. I can see why Steve's gone for Huddersfield 16-10, and I watched them against Forest. That's a great price, 16-10, but obviously my heart's with Preston.
So will you push for a draw?
Preston, I mean, I'll go Huddersfield in the draw there, Paul. If I was having a bet, it should be Huddersfield. Okay. I agree with Steve.
Luton, Reading?
I like Luton, Paul. They drew 1-1 with Leeds, held their own. They've only lost 1 in 9. They're unbeaten at 4 at home. Reading have just gone off the boil. They just get beat too often. Brentford murdered them in midweek. Great value bet, Luton, Paul, 16-10.
Stoke City, Barnsley?
Paul, you never know with Stoke. They got murdered in midweek by Wigan. Barnsley have come well. I think they've taken 7 points from the last 3 games since the break. A draw and Barnsley for me there, Paul.
Okay. Swansea City, Sheffield Wednesday.
Well, I'm disappointed in Swansea. They've only won 2 of the last 11, even though they're in contention. You know, they fought hard. The guy Brewster scored a good free kick, hit the bar, hit the keeper on the neck, but went in. But they played well. Likewise, Sheffield Wednesday are struggling. Swansea for me there, Paul, 12-10.
Okay, then the last 2 games, Middlesbrough,
well,
QPR.
Middlesbrough had the bounce factor. You know, Neil Warnock, they play tonight.
Yeah, that's Warnock's gone there.
Warnock's gone there, so, but they haven't won at home. I think it's 7 games they haven't won at home. But QPR struggled since the break, Paul. If they get a result tonight, Middlesbrough, I fancy them in the bets as it is.
They could get out of it.
No doubt. I don't see them going down.
And then West Brom, Hull?
Paul, they hadn't scored in 4 games, but I watched them against Brentford. How they never scored, I don't know. How they never scored against Birmingham the week before, I couldn't believe it. 20 shots, never scored. Yeah. They'll murder Hull City, Paul.
Okay, right. Let's go on to our 6s, 10s and 13s.
Exotics, yeah.
Give us your
Paul,
feeling.
I've gone Leicester City in the field, Crystal Palace. I think Man United will be too good for Bournemouth. I'm looking for the upset in the Blackburn Rovers Leeds United game. While I fancy Wolves, I've thrown the draw in because we can spend 200 Rand. It's a German Cup final. Likewise, I've thrown the draw in. Bayern Munich should destroy Bayer Leverkusen because I think Chelsea beat Watford.
Okay, your next one?
The second one, Championship. I've gone the field in the Bristol City, Cardiff. I've banked Brentford to beat Wigan, Fulham to beat Birmingham. I've gone the field in the Huddersfield Preston game. I've gone Stoke, win and draw at home against Barnsley, and Luton, win and draw at home against Reading, 2-1-6.
All right, the 10.
The 10, I banked United to beat Bournemouth. Obviously had to cut it short, so I've gone Leicester win and draw at home against Crystal Palace. I've gone the field in the Blackburn, Leeds, Bristol City, Cardiff City games. I've banked Brentford to beat Wigan. I've gone banked Fulham to win at home against Birmingham. I've gone the field again in the Huddersfield-Preston clash. I've gone Stoke City win and draw at home against Barnsley, and ended up banking Wolves to beat Arsenal and Chelsea to beat Watford. 216.
Okay, and the impossible one.
Oh, the tricky one, Paul, which you always have a dip at. I've gone Leicester win and draw at home against Crystal Palace. I've banked Man United to beat Bournemouth, Wolves to beat Arsenal, and Chelsea to beat Watford. I've gone Leeds United win and draw at Blackburn Rovers. I've sided with the away team again, Cardiff City at Bristol City. I've banked Fulham to beat Birmingham City. I've gone Huddersfield Town win and draw at home against Preston. I've banked Brentford to beat Wigan, Luton to beat Reading. I've gone Stoke City win and draw at home against Barnsley. I've gone Sheffield United win and draw at Burnley, and I think Newcastle win and draw at home against West Ham, 256.
Okay, but let's go on to the best part, your best bets.
Yeah, the best
Talk
bets.
about your treble.
Yeah, I've gone Brighton to beat Norwich. I've gone Wolves to beat Arsenal and over 1.5 goals, and I've gone Chelsea to win on the to win by more than 1 goal. The handicap 2,400.
Okay, the over 2.5 goals.
Yeah, I think there'll be goals this week, Paul. I've gone Chelsea, Watford, Man United, Bournemouth, Wolves, Arsenal, Southampton, Man City. I think there'll be goals in the Tottenham Everton game, Paul. 3,200.
Championship.
The championship, yeah, I've gone Fulham to beat Birmingham and Middlesbrough to beat QPR, and over 1.5 total goals in each game.
Yes.
I've gone Luton Town win and draw at home against Reading, and I've gone West Brom to win by more than 1 goal, 2,700 to 200. Both teams, the score sides are Liverpool Villa, because I'm just suspect they're 7.5 to 10. Liverpool are going to play all the squad players. Southampton Man City, Tottenham Everton, Fulham Birmingham, and Luton Reading, 3,100 to 200.
Okay.
Paul, this is a new bet that everyone's brought in. Will they give you odds on a particular team to score goals? So I'm going Chelsea and Man United to score over 2.5 goals. Chelsea against Watford, United against Bournemouth. And over 1.5 goals, Wolves against Arsenal, and Tottenham to score over 1.5 against Everton. Okay. So the odds are a lot better than the normal. So I've thrown them together. 20 to 1, 4,200, Paul. I like that bet now.
Okay.
And I've Collis King 6 on Exeter. I've gone Brighton to beat Norwich. I've gone Chelsea to beat Watford. Man United to beat Bournemouth. Brentford to beat Wigan. I've gone Fulham to beat Birmingham, and Hull City to beat, West Brom to beat Hull City. 2,800 to 200.
Excellent, Budge. Well, there you go, guys. That's this week's show. Don't forget the last one standing. Make sure you get your bets on. Down to 9 people left. And until next time, stay on side.